Howdy boys and girls, today we're going to talk about something a little bit controversial and I'm sure it'll annoy some people, so strap yourselves in. I'd like to read a letter from Velonomad reader Mario, who just finished Etape 2015. Well done Mario. Tim, you are like the doctor who smokes and tells his patients how bad it is. Now why would Mario cast such a terrible sledge my way? Well, Mario and I were talking, and I told him I was going to do Peaks Challenge Gold Coast. Now it's a challenge in a grand final in 2 weeks' time up on the Gold Coast, 235 kilometres, 4,000 metres. Cut-off's 12 hours. Now some people might think, oh, well, that sounds like an Etape, Tim. True. But I told Mario I was doing it with no training.
What? No.
And hence the doctor statement, because for years I've been banging on and on about how people need to train for the Etape. The reason I'm not training is A, I found it too late. B, I like to do things that are really stupid and foolhardy, and this qualifies. It's a fun event. It's like an Etape, but it's local, so that's good. And the third is to prove to people what happens when you turn up to an event that's Etape grade or Marmotte grade or whatever, and don't train for it. Because people seem to have this, they're operating under this delusion they can just turn up to an event like Etape, and when I say Etape, I mean all the grand finals like it, without any training, which is stupid. Or they think they can turn up and their training can consist of their Saturday morning coffee shop ride, which isn't training, it's untraining. Sitting on your mate's wheels and then following up with croissants and muffins is just stupid. It's a recipe for disaster. And like I said, it's not training, it's untraining. You may as well not have even done it, to be honest. So, I'm going to do this event with only 2 weeks of preparation to prove to you what happens when you turn up with no preparation. Now, it's true some people can turn up to these events and do them with little training. 2009, I turned up to Etape, did Ventoux twice in the 2 days leading up to it, and then did the event. My training consisted only of 6 months of racing. It was my first season racing. However, I was really fit. I was about 61 kilos. I was running a lot. I was super fit. So it wasn't that much of a stretch. In 2009, I got really sick. Hypothyroidism, was off the bike for 4 months, put on about 7 or 8 kilos, turned up to Etape 2010 up the Tourmalet, finished it, but it was probably the hardest ride I've ever done. And there were 3,000 people out of about 10,000 that didn't finish. And I guarantee you that a big swathe of them did not train properly. And to demonstrate too the need for training, some people I went with who trained still didn't finish the event, which shows you how taxing these things are. 2011, Etape up Alpe d'Huez, Bolivia, 4 12-week blocks of training, so that event was no problem. And I still remember riding up the Col du Telegraph, which is the first climb of the day, with a Scotsman, and we were chatting, we were just spinning up, high cadence, chatting. We had all these French people yelling, shushing us, going shh, angry at us because we had the temerity to talk as we were riding up the hill. And I still remember 5Ks from the top of the Galibier, there was an Aussie who was just down going, oh man, has anyone got some salt tablets? That's how stuffed he was after 90 minutes of climbing, and there was still the Alpe d'Huez to go. End of the day, I rode down Alpe d'Huez, and this isn't to brag, just to demonstrate the benefit of training. Back up over the Croix de Fer into Michel de Mauriet, which ended up being about 210 kilometre a day, 3 HC climbs and a Cat 1. So a lot of climbing, that's what training gets you. That's how strong your legs get. So I don't understand why people turn up to these events and disrespect them almost by turning up with little training, especially people coming from Australia, New Zealand, whatever. They're spending thousands of dollars to do this trip. And for a lot of blokes mainly, they're burning a lot of brownie points, the type of bloke who's under the thumb, doing this trip, and they might not be able to go back for quite a few years, and they blow it. And I personally know people who've turned up with thinking that they're just obnoxious or arrogant or presumptuous at worst, thinking they can just turn up and do the event because they ride their bike a little bit. Not so. And what I've seen is that the ladies don't seem to be subject to this kind of thinking. The ladies, all the emails I get from ladies saying, Tim, doing a Etape next year, what do I need to do for training? And I tell them, and the women do it because they're smarter than the guys are and they're less egotistical. So I just don't get it. True, I've got training on my website for Grand Fondos and the Etape. In particular, it's for those types of events. And I have to say, not one person who's used that training has come back to me and said it didn't work. They've all come back after the event, and they're all starting to come in now after 2015 saying, Tim, the training was unreal, did the event, no problems, so confident, thank you, blah, 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 blah. So, the best example, the best stories, I think, and the best way to get things across are to show people, don't tell them. So here I'm telling you, don't believe me, go do your own research. But I'm going to do this event, which is a tap grade, 4,000 metres, 12-hour cutoff, 235 Ks, with only 2 weeks training. And to give you some idea of my fitness, I'll be lucky to ride 100 Ks a week at the moment. And the last couple of weeks, I've bumped it up to 200 with a lot of climbing. I'm about 62 kilos, and I'm running maybe 10, 15 Ks a week. So not a lot of exercise, but all my riding is climbing, and all our local hills are 10, 12, 15%. So I've got hill fit legs, and my fitness isn't too bad. So anyway, what you're going to see is what happens when someone with a reasonable amount of fitness, and this is my level of fitness at the moment, is probably the same for a lot of people watching this. What happens when you turn up to an event like this without adequate training? And really, it's a simple case of 12 months out from your Grand Fondo, be it Etape du Tour, Peaks Challenge, La Marmotte, Maratona, whatever it is, 12 months out, 8 months out, 6 months out, 4 months out, just do some training. Now, I've been banging on for years and years how people need to train, and I say, well, you need at least 10 hours a week of training. People said to me, Tim, I can't do it.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
10 hours a week I can't commute on my bike. I've got kids, blah, 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 blah. All I hear is can't do. And my response to that was, well, if you're doing an event like this, you've got to make some sacrifices. Not getting up at 4 o'clock sacrifices, but some sacrifices. At the time when I said that, Kate and I lived in a 2-bedroom unit in Melbourne on Beach Road, so premium cycling training territory, flat roads, runs on the beach, swimming, up and down the cliffs, running, like doing rep after rep, getting strong legs. Commuting, I could commute between 20 and 80 Ks before work or after work, so it was easy to get 400 or 500 Ks of training in, or say 15, 20 hours, easy. Commuting to work. The 2-bedroom unit didn't need much upkeep because we're renting, and we didn't have any kids. Now, since then, we've moved to a 10-acre farm up in the subtropics. So in summer, that means mowing, mow, finish mowing, got to start mowing again. We've got cows, we've got chooks, goats. So, there's a lot of maintenance and stuff like that. Also, I can't commute much anymore, definitely not in winter. We live in a regional area. So driving home, you've got cars barreling along at 80 to 100 Ks an hour. Around tight country bends, there's no shoulder, no verge. Even if I'm really well lit up, it's still too risky for me. Summer it's okay, I can get sort of 50 to 100 Ks a day and a few times a week if I want. And then there's this other little thing.
Oops. Sorry about that, everyone.
So I appreciate now I was a little bit arrogant when I said it's easy to get 10 plus hours of training because that was based on my circumstances, but I still maintain it's not impossible. And in the lead up to Peaks Challenge Gold Coast, I'm proving it. So we've got a 3-month-old baby. I can't ride to and from work, so I can only get an hour or so in before work. It's still dark, got lights, blah, blah, blah. And we've got the farm to look after. So basically at the moment I've ramped my training up to about 8-9 hours a week, and it's not impossible, and I'm not getting up at 4:30. So if you can't, as far as I'm concerned, you can't use time as a factor for not training anymore. And I realise I might have turned some people off, but time's not a factor. You just have to find the time to train for an event like this, especially if you're coming from Australia and spending thousands of dollars. Because if you turn up without training, you're an idiot, and you'll find my site if you don't already know about it, and you'll email me and you'll go, oh, I turned up and I did it, and I got to the base and I had to abandon and blah, 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 and it's a sad story. And I'm like, well, why didn't you do some training? It's not hard and it's not rocket science. Do you think an Ironman will turn up to an Ironman to Kona without training? No. Does Chris Froome turn up to the Tour de France with no training? No. The AFL footballers start the season with no training? No. Soccer players? No. Everyone's training, so why shouldn't you? And now you're about to see what happens when you don't train, and I'm going to be the guinea pig, which I don't mind because it's going to be fun and it's going to show you guys. I'm not just telling you, I'm showing you guys what happens. Stick around and see how much hilarity will ensue. Talk to you next time.